goes up in a V, and this peninsula runs right down the middle of the Quabbin. This peninsula has been off limits to people for a long, long time. It's because it goes right down in the middle into public drinking water supply. Oh. So there's roads, there's a network of roads that are pretty well maintained, kind of like these, that run all through here, that are all ancient roads before when Quabbin was flooded and they kicked everybody out of the 4 towns. So they just improved those roads. They're mostly stone dust. We can drive on them. There's a bunch of 4-wheel drive roads in here too. But this area is off limits to the public. And in the 70s they started to do this beaver survey sporadically. It wasn't every year through the 70s, but it's become every year now. It's the longest running beaver survey in the United States, looking for beaver. And
is it because they were causing problems, or just for the sake of doing it?
No, they weren't causing problems then. No, it's gone, and I have a report here that I can give to you, and you can make copies of it too from last year. We just finished doing this year's, so obviously I don't have that all put together for you guys yet.
So since 1970, this has been...
Yeah, from the early 70s.
Wow.
Yep, and ever since then, every year people have been going out there and surveying all these streams. You'll notice on the map that every stream has a letter associated with it. It's sort of highlighted in red. And we go out there, we get some volunteers, we have people that did it in the past, old biologists, and we walk each stream and mark whether it's active or inactive. We look for lodges and different signs that I'll go over with you guys later, and how to determine if it's active this year or if it just has previous year's sign. So what essentially happened, and I think the peak was in 1995.
The peak population?
Yeah, or number of colonies.
Okay.
We don't do an actual population, but so this started, I'm sorry, not in the 70s, 1952. I thought it was 72.
Oh my goodness.
But 1952 to 2008. So you can see over time, this is just a brief reconstruction. This is the total number. This dark color here, we also do a shoreline survey, so we'll take a boat and we'll drive all the way around the shoreline real slow just to look for any on the shore of the peninsula as well.
When was the peak, Ken? What year?
The peak was in 2000, well, the most recent peak was in 2005. These peaks were in the 80s, I believe. So in 1995, the peak was 23 colonies, or 23 active colonies out of all those.
And what was it in 2005?
In 2005, it was 23 colonies.
Oh, 23.
Yeah. Last year, I believe we had... let's see, 2008 there was 13, 2007 there were 16. It's sort of been decreasing since 2005. I think a lot of that has to do with they're eating themselves out of habitat. There's been no trapping, there's been no hunting, there's been no anything on this peninsula. So it's sort of a great study for how beaver would sort of interact and live without the influence of human persistence. So it's neat because if you look at a map of the peninsula and you can see it's almost like a Christmas tree. It'll blink on and off these active communities. What happens is they eventually run out of food. So they eat and eat and eat and eat, and all of a sudden there's no more good food source for them. So they have to move on. So they go somewhere else that's been abandoned for a little while. And so it sort of stabilizes itself over time if they were allowed to, you know, eke out their existence in there. I mean, now it's been pretty rough in there. There's not as much food. It's taking longer for things to rebound than there are the number of beaver.
Things meaning the vegetation?
There. Yeah. Yep. I've seen beaver eating hemlock. I might have done that.
It likes you.
They're eating hemlock and pine, stuff that you know they really wouldn't eat. I don't know if it's the sap in it or what, but they really don't like that stuff. Their favorite food are like aspen and poplar and that sort of stuff. They really enjoy that stuff. In fact, if I ever have to trap one, that's what I use, and it gets them almost every time. They love that stuff. So, in a nutshell, once that's gone, it's tough for them. They sort of eke out nibbling on pine and stuff like that, and Some of them are reluctant to use an old lodge, so they like to build their own new lodge. Because there are abandoned lodges that are in the same exact pond or little tributary that they won't use. They'll start their own lodge.
Is there otter activity that would be preying on them?
What's that?
Is there otter activity that would be preying on them?
No, there's really nothing in there. I mean, there are otter in there, definitely, but I've never heard of otter preying on beaver. In that case, coyotes have been known to do it, and obviously wolves were their main predator when wolves were here. But there isn't much predation on them at all out there. So the population just sort of ebbs and flows, and they also disperse out of there.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
they'll
wanted to
swim
find out. Yeah.
right off the peninsula and then into upstreams and stuff into the surrounding towns and surrounding areas around Quabbin too. And that's when we have the problems with them, because they start blocking streams. If they stay on the Prescott, they're fine, because usually, unless they are damaging a road or something like that, then we have to remove them or discourage them by putting a piping through or beaver exclusion fencing. There's a number of techniques that we use.
There's a big difference between the peak in the 80s and even this peak here. I mean, that peak is probably even less than half of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty steep. It's like something all of a sudden happened.
Yeah. I mean, that we might be starting to see that again when they ate themselves out of
That's
house and
purely
home.
something like
basically.
that. Okay.
Yeah, because there wasn't any real trapping out there.
No. Okay.
It's been sort of, it's a good look at what happens without any.
Nobody introduced a mountain lion or anything like that.
Not that I know of. Not that I. So that's the basic history of it, and we go out there every year, and like those maps, we identify. No, it's me. I keep hitting the button every time I put my hand in my pocket.
Yeah.
All right. So we go in
what's the methodology, just as an overview?
the methodology is fairly simple. Get out there, you find your marked stream, you walk the stream, you're looking.
You don't use a grid, you go by stream.
Nope. Yeah, we do every
Oh.
stream that's on the Prescott.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we do it. Other people have done grids, but you'll save a lot more time just walking the
Yeah.
streams.
That's what we've done so far here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just
Well,
walk the
except that-
streams and tributaries and
We've just discovered one lodge, which we'll show you, that seems to have been created out of a rainwater wetland. There seems to be no spring and no stream, so
yep.
I didn't know that was possible.
I've seen them in some pretty marginal habitat, and ever since they got rid of the trapping laws statewide in 1996, that question one, the beaver population has. The last time they did an official survey was in 2005, I believe. I'll have to verify that, but they went from 20,000 beaver statewide to about 75,000 beaver, and that was the last time. That's when they relaxed the trapping laws a little bit, and that's when they put the Board of Health in charge of beaver trapping and dealing with beaver issues. So since then, and that was the last time they did a survey, and the population hasn't really gone down since then. So there's a lot of overpopulations of beaver where they're getting into areas that are causing problems, getting into areas that are not really prime beaver habitat, that they're trying to make beaver habitat. And
Well, so in terms of methodology, you have X number of people, how many times a year or month or one
once a year we
person?
do it.
Once
Nope,
a year.
once a year we do it. It usually takes us 3 days. This year it only took us 2 days because we had more volunteers. So we organize one day where we'll go out there. We bring everybody out there. We
What
provide
time of
food
year?
and stuff. We just did it November.